right, I'm gonna do frequency and period. I'm gonna do frequency first. So the frequency is like essentially how long does it take my graph to complete a cycle. So this is one cycle. If I continued it on, it would be the same thing again. If I continued it on, it would be the same thing again. So this is one cycle. Now all of the ones we've done up to this point have been 2 pi. No matter if I put a vertical stretch or compression or reflected across the X, no matter what I did to them, they still had a frequency of 2 pi. And what that means is how long did it take me to do one complete cycle? So that's 2 pi, okay? So the way that we figure out frequency when we're looking at a function, which we're gonna put as f, so we're gonna say that the frequency is equal to 2 pi divided by b. Now here's the tricky thing. So in the past, these have looked slightly different. Our function, we already had a, we know what that does. And now we're gonna put b theta. And notice that it's b by itself, it's not 1 over b. So that's why it's a little bit different than in the past. So if it tells me something like this, my b is 3. So I'm gonna say that the frequency is 2 pi over 3. So that what that means is that this shortened down to get done in 2 pi over 3. So it would be like this. So it's getting done a lot quicker is essentially what's happening there, okay? So that's how our frequency works. Pretty easy, pretty straightforward. Period is how many of these happen in a 2 pi section. So the way that we would do that is we would say let me see here. On my first graph, how many of these happened in a 2 pi period? We know that there's only one, okay? The way that we would calculate it out is we would say, oh, that was 2 pi. We would say that the period is equal to 2 pi divided by the frequency. So on this one, this would be the function where f of theta equals the sine of theta. So my b value is 1. So when I'm finding the frequency, I'm gonna do 2 pi divided by 1, which is just 2 pi. When I'm doing the period, I'm gonna do 2 pi divided by the frequency, which is 2 pi, which is just gonna be 1. So it's fairly simple, but let's say that it gives me the other one that I did. I had a frequency of 2 pi over 3. So what's the period on this one? The period is equal to 2 pi over the frequency, which is 2 pi over 3. And this is where we start getting confused because we're dividing by a fraction. So this becomes 2 pi times 3 over 2 pi, which means these are gonna cancel each other out and it's gonna have a period of 3. So what does that mean? That means that I'm gonna have 3 of these pieces in the 2 pi unit. In the distance of 2 pi, there's gonna be 3 of these repeating graphs. So that's what we're looking at when we're doing frequency and period. Not too tough. It will take some practice to get used to.